All right, what's up everybody? So today I'm going to be replacing my OEM headlights, which you can see are pretty foggy, with some brand new Tacoma Beast headlights that I just bought the other day. So the process of actually installing the lights is out there on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. But today the thing that I really want to focus on is how to actually wire the LEDs and the accent bulbs that come with these lights, because I looked all around and finally just had to try to figure it out myself. If you're liking these videos, want more of these videos, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And in the next part, you're just gonna see me installing this new headlight and then splicing the wires to actually get the accent bulbs to work. So let's get into it. All right, so what you're gonna need for this project is a Phillips head screwdriver. This one's kind of optional, but it does help for reaching in and getting some of the bolts off. An X-Acto blade to splice the wires together. I used two different socket wrenches, each with 10mm sockets on them. This one's just a lot shorter, so it'll make it a lot easier to reach into or get one of the bolts out for dismounting the lights. And then a flathead screwdriver as well for the little button pieces that we need to take off. And then of course you're gonna need your lights. So here's mine. I just got mine from Tacoma Beast, not a sponsor or anything like that. They provided a fairly affordable light fixture, and I think it looks really good. So I elected to go with the black housing. So we're gonna flip this over, and what you're gonna see is you're going to see your mounting socket. So this is the portion that actually goes into your current factory sockets themselves. And then there's a lot of wires. There's 10 different wires, and these all go to LEDs. And these LEDs will not turn on unless they're wired to something. So the first thing we're gonna do is, actually I lied. These 4 wires don't actually go to the LEDs. They go to something else, and I don't actually know where they go. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wrap them up a little bit, tie them off, and move them out of the way. So in order to actually get our LEDs to work, we need to take the leads from our LEDs, which are all of these, and they're kind of annoyingly frayed. And we need to run them or splice them into our actual lights. So my Tacoma is a 2006, does not have running lights. And I'm not gonna, try to make it have running lights or anything like that. So instead what we can do is we can have the LEDs turn on when our low beams are turned on. So these are the 2 wires for the low beams, and in the actual Spider manual it says that black is always the ground. So all these black wires, which these 2 are spliced together and these 2 are spliced together, so that's already pretty nice. So all we need to do is splice these ground wires with the ground wires to our low beams. Then what we need to do is we need to splice our active wires, which are anything that's not black. So the white wires here, and then into the blue wires here. So, before you go doing any sort of electrical sort of stuff, always make sure you disconnect your battery. If you're not very sure with electrical sort of stuff, take it to a mechanic or something like that. My degree in engineering gives me a little bit of confidence in terms of, just splicing one wire into the other. And you'll see today that I don't actually use solder or shrink plastic like they use right here. That's highly recommended. All I have readily available is some electrical tape. So I'm just gonna do my best to just tape things into place as best as possible. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do here in order to actually get these wires spliced into place, get your utility knife out. Be very, very careful not to actually cut the wires. If you have like a wire cutting tool, that's the time to use it. But I don't have that, kind of underprepared. Let's move this over just a little bit. There we go. So what you're going to do is you're just going to very, very shallowly peel away this plastic. Again, trying not to actually cut the wire itself, but just getting more of the wire exposed. And I already cut one of the pieces of wire, so again, just be very, very careful. Get the rest of the wire, or get the rest of the wire exposed. There we go. And then I'm going to pull back the plastic just a little bit and just pop off that last piece of plastic. And then that's ready to go. You're going to want about 1 inch of that wire exposed. And then you're just going to repeat for the other 3. Yeah, so in an ideal world, you would have solder and a soldering gun. Again, I don't have that, so just going to have to make do with what I have. And I've done this sort of stuff in the past, so I'm not too terribly worried about running into issues. Just make sure you go slow. It's more important to have all the wires there and to have more exposed than to, you know, chop off some of it. So there's 2. So then with these, you just get the black wires out of the way, and then you're just going to twist these together. And my dog is chasing lizards right now, so you might hear me telling her no, because we don't know if it's a lizard or if it's a snake, and I would really not like it if she got bit by a snake. But it is pretty entertaining watching her try to hunt through the rocks to get them. Okay, so tangent aside, that's all wrapped up, ready to go. So now we need to just do the same thing for the black wires. Again, you know, trying to cut down about 1/2 inch to 1 inch extra. Yep, so on that one I got a few of the wires, but luckily I didn't cut through everything. So again, just be careful, take your time. Because if you cut through all the wires, especially up here, you're not going to be able to actually use your light, your brand new light that you just bought. So that would be rather annoying. And I'm sure the company would not honor the warranty. So just a note, so the manual kind of comes with directions to do this, but it's not very clear. And I looked everywhere and could not find one person on YouTube who, you know, was showing you how to actually splice these wires. And I don't know if it's because people don't want to take on the risk of, you know, showing somebody on YouTube and then somebody, you know, short circuiting or getting electrocuted or something like that. I just don't know. So if you do know, actually leave a comment below, and that might actually lead me to changing this video around a little bit. But it was really frustrating because they came with all these wires, and then you know, have these like cool LEDs. And once I actually turn everything on and show you, you'll see how cool they actually are. But yeah, it was just a little frustrating and a little concerning that nobody, including the actual manufacturer, didn't have good instruction for this sort of stuff. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to splice in the wires that go to the right ones, and this is kind of, you know, like somebody defusing a bomb or something like that. Make sure the wires match up with what they're supposed to go to. The black wires always go with the black, and then in this case we have blue wires here and white wires here that are going to be spliced together. These are a little bit softer, so you don't have to have, you know, kind of like a good little cutting area. But be careful, because again, if you screw this up, then you're gonna have to try to figure out a way, you know, to repackage everything. So I'm just really, really delicately cutting these. You probably want to expose, you know, like 1/2 inch to 1 inch, just something where you can get a good amount of your exposed wire all the way around your. There we go. So that's a little bit shorter. That's about 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch. But I almost did it. Black to blue. That's not the case. It is white to blue. And again, this is on a Tacoma with no running lights. So just make sure. You might already have everything harnessed up and ready to go. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to take these and you're going to go all the way to the bottom, and then you're just going to kind of twist them all the way around, just so you get as much wire as you possibly can seated on that blue. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get the electrical tape, which is right over here, and we are going to tape everything up. So I might make this a 2-part video because I don't think everybody who's actually watching this is going to be interested in how to splice wires and those sort of things. But if you are interested, this is a perfect video for you, because this is exactly what I was looking for when I was installing my first headlight, and I couldn't find it. So just going to wrap all the way up. It's okay to get your wires kind of like twisted together. That'll just hold everything together a little bit better. Then you're gonna go up and you're gonna go down. This is a lot easier if you have like a, it's called like shrink plastic or something like that. I don't have any of that here, so I am just using just traditional electrical tape and just making sure that everything is nice and secure and making sure that none of the wires are exposed. One of the biggest things with electronics is that if you have exposed wires that start getting crossed, then you start to run into, you know, shorting issues and other things like that. And that's a huge no-no with electronics and all that sort of stuff. So be aware of that. All right, so now we're just gonna get the second one. Again, go really shallow. Oh, maybe. All right, so I got a little bit of it exposed. Yeah, this rubber is significantly more pliable than the wire from the LEDs. So just be aware of that. So I got a little bit exposed. Hopefully you can see that. And then what we're going to do is take our black end, again, kind of put it down as far as possible. And then we're just going to wrap it as best as we can, getting it nice and secure. Then in this case, I'm actually just going to rip off some of the electrical tape because that'll make it a little bit easier to work with. And then I like to start at the bottom and then wrap up because that allows us to get everything nice and tight and in place. Then you kind of go back down and just make sure, again, everything is nice and not exposed because, again, you don't want electronics to have exposed wires. And I'm just putting a little extra piece right here just because I didn't like the seal at the bottom. All right, so there we go. So now this is all wired up. Now we can actually take out our other headlight and then we can install this bad boy. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to take off this grill. It's super easy. There's just a couple caps right here and then a couple of 10mm screws. So I'll show you that, but we're about to take this thing. All right, so here, there's one cap right there, 10mm screw. Where's the other one? Another 10mm screw right there, and then the other snap. So very similar to this right here. So something to note, these I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically just like press-in seals. They're really easy to break, especially with like a 2013 or 2006 Tacoma. So just make sure that you're being gentle. I happen to break both of the ones that go into here, so I need to get new ones or just live with the ones I have. There goes one. Most of the time they fall all the way to the bottom, but if they don't, then you're gonna have to find them. So now that we've gotten that out, there's actually a couple of pins that hold these in place. So what you're gonna need to do, and I'll show a better view after I actually lift it off, but you're gonna need to reach down and move the tab out of the way, and then you just lift straight up and off, and then your grill is off. So another upgrade that people like to do is just, you know, install new grills and stuff like that. So that would actually be probably one of the easiest mods possible, because you just have two of those screws on the top right here, and then a couple of those pins, and just, you know, two of these tabbed flanges. The next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to actually take this piece right here out of the factory light. So it sits in like so. Let me get a close-up of that. In order to get it out, you need, one sec, you need to come down and you need to pry the piece off of the clip underneath here. So I just use I used the screwdriver at first, but now it's coming off pretty easily. So you just need to take it out and then, you know, put it away for safekeeping. This is what it looks like when it's actually installed in the other light. And just make sure again that it's seated all the way around that little flat piece right there. is we are going to take off this little plastic filler piece right here. Make sure we can see that. Yeah, we're going to take off this plastic filler piece. So again, you just have one of these snaps. What you do is you place it into the snap portion. The top will pop out, and then you should just be able to pull it out. And like I said, so all of my plastic is super, super brittle right now, just because my truck is so old. So just be careful trying to get these in and out, or else you will end up breaking them like I did with a few of the pieces. So we put that aside. Then what we need to do is we just need to pop out. So there's a piece that goes into the bottom, and then there's a piece that goes into the side over here. So you pop it out, and then you pull the whole plastic piece towards the center of the truck. And it's kind of just like that. So the whole thing is it sticks pretty well. And I probably broke, you know, some sort of plastic just because everything is so brittle at this point. But you got to pull pretty hard. Again, try to pull towards the center as much as possible, because there is a clip at the end that kind of seeds in to the body of the truck. All right, so we're getting there. So the next thing we need to do is pop out another one of these secure pins for the bumper in order to get access to this bolt right here. So same sort of thing. We just work our way around. If we can get this out, seems pretty stuck. So and there it goes. So here's a perfect example. So no matter what I did, that thing was like already busted. So I'm still gonna do my best to like save everything and then reinstall it later. But the little bottom portion of the pin now is totally broken. Very annoying. To do is there is a bolt underneath where this bumper is, and all the bolts have a Phillips head configuration. So I'm just going to use the Phillips head screwdriver. You have to pull the bumper away just a little bit just to get your screwdriver seated, and then hopefully your screw isn't seized so much that you can't get stuff out. And I was lucky in this case that I am able to get this one out. So you just unscrew it until the bolt actually comes out, and then everything on this truck is a challenge. Even if the installers and stuff make everything look super easy, when you got a truck that's from Michigan with a crap ton of rust, like you can see how rusty this thing is, it just makes everything that much harder to install and reinstall, and it can get frustrating sometimes. So so we have 3 more bolts to go. We got 2 on top right here, which are super easy to take out, and then we have 1 on the bottom under here that's actually fairly challenging to take out. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove a bolt from the bottom of the bumper, and I'm going to try to get the bumper cover, not the bumper cover, the ride cover out of the way. But what I need to do is just start my car, tilt my tires to the side, and then we can go from there.
Next, we need to remove 2 10mm screws. The first one is right here, and then the second one is a little bit lower on the bumper right here. So we'll remove those, and then we'll be able to take the bumper cover off and pull it back so we have access to the next bolt. I'm showing you guys my hack job to be able to get my tire to move under. But once we remove this, we'll be able to actually expose
so we got
the
that last
final
bolt out. It's actually pretty easy once you actually get it started. It's just kind of a blind bolt to be taken out. I also recommend a headlamp for this sort of operation because it just makes things a little bit easier to see. The last bolt is attached to this plastic piece right here. It's really hard to tell, but it goes back in here, so you have to pull aside the cover, and then you have to kind of reach up blindly in order to actually get there.
All right, let's see if we can get a good look up here. So this is the fog light. Oh, and way back up here, you can see where my hand actually is, and you can't really see it. Let's see if we can change it. Can we turn light on? Yeah, so this is really hard to see, but what you're gonna need to do is reach up behind your fog light, and then there's a screw here. Oh, you still can't see anything. There's a screw right here where my finger is. You're gonna reach behind that, and then that's where the last 10mm screw is.
All right, now the last thing we need to do is just take off these 10mm bolts. I've just been wearing gloves this whole time because my car is dirty and greasy and those sort of things, so I recommend it. Probably got to go the other way in order to actually loosen things. Yeah, so the real reason I'm changing out these lights, well, one of them is because they just look terrible aesthetically, but this one actually died, so I was gonna have to either pop out the light bulb or do something like that, so I just figured it was time to change the actual lights themselves. And I'm really happy with the look of this light. It's to be determined if, you know, we actually avoid water and those sort of things in the lights themselves. I've heard people have issues with those in the past. Okay, so we got these 10mm out. I'm gonna go put them in storage. What we're gonna do is we are going to get our flathead screwdriver, and we are going to pop the plastic pieces off of their mounts. That'll kind of give us a little bit more leeway, a little bit more room to operate here. Put that up there, and then you just need to slide that out. Then you should be able to kind of get the entire thing to slide with you. You will need to take out the plug right here. Comes off super easy. You'll need to take out the turn signal light bulbs and then the hazard light bulb as well. So now we should be able to get it out fairly easy. I say fairly easy. I took out an alternator the other day. So we did get it out, but I took out an alternator the other day and I could barely get it out of the engine block. So everything is quote unquote fairly easy. All right, so we got this out. Now the next thing we need to do is go grab our new one and get it all installed. All right, so here we have it. You're gonna need to take off 2 pieces of just like plastic. You just throw those away. That's where the other bulbs go. Just tuck away the red and black lights that we're not using. Then what you need to do is you need to align and install your big light. So make sure all the holes line up. Get it all situated and seated, and then you just need to rotate it into place. They're pretty tight, so just make sure you rotate that all the way to get a nice watertight seal. Then you have your other one. I've seen people inspect the gaskets before, so just make sure you're inspecting your gaskets as well. Similar sort of thing. Get this aligned, and then twist it into place. Yeah, you probably can't really see that, but it's this one right here. So just twisting it into place, making sure it's got a solid connection. And then since we already did all the splicing of our wires, we're just going to take
our wire harness and attach it to the factory wire harness. Mine's pretty rusty, but it hasn't led to any issues in the past. It's probably worth, just like brushing it off and cleaning it for a little bit. So you click that into place, and then now, before we go ahead and reinstall everything, we're going to just test the lights. So make sure it's in a secure place. Very cool. So as you can see, we got the normal running lights going right here. They look really good. And then the LEDs are all lit up. That means we installed the wiring correctly. And then we have our amber light as well. So now I'm going to try my hazards, and then I'm going to try my high beams too. So there's the hazards. You can see it's working really well. Now let's do the high beam, combo hazards and high beam. There we go. The amber lights are still going. Got both of them running. So we got one on one side, one on the other, and this is ready to just be reinstalled. So it's just the exact opposite of what we just did. So let's get into that. As we are going to need to position our light, or get our light into a good position so it's just slid into place. This can be a little bit tricky, but the good news is that with this, with these new lights, they're a lot smaller than the OEM. The first one you're gonna try to get back in is the one on the inside over here. I won't show that again, but again, it's the one that you have to pull the cover off, and then for this, since it takes a little bit more dexterity in a sense, I like to be able to just feel where I'm going. So I take my gloves off. I typically wouldn't because, again, super dirty. But the best landmark is there's like another bolt that is holding the bumper to the this piece. So there we go. Try to get started. I think we did. And then you're gonna have to pop under the hood, or under the bumper, in order to actually get it installed. There we go. Now things are kind of lining up a little bit better. And actually, I've just been hand screwing this entire time, so we're almost there. Cool. That's hand tight. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna just finish up, just doing a little bit more tightening under here. So if you've installed different tires, then most likely the bumper cover is going to be gone. So it'll make things a little bit easier. Yeah, I still can't reach it from here. Oh, big challenges. Let's just make sure that we're going the right way. Okay. Just kind of reaching in blind, so try to make sure that your wrench is seated. Okay, all right, this isn't gonna work. Gotta go under. Okay, finally got that one done. Now the rest is like a cakewalk compared to that. Unless, of course, some of your stuff isn't lining up correctly. So the next one you got to do is you have to do this one right here. So just get it into position. This one can be kind of challenging as well, but just get your Phillips head screwdriver. Slide your bumper cover out of the way, drop the bolt. Oh, golly.
There we go. Once it's seated, it's fine, but until then, it's kind of challenging. So then you're just gonna tighten down until it's nice and tight. Make sure that that everything is actually good to go. Then we can do our little filler piece right here. Slide it. Slide the tab in. Then there's another tab that pushes back. And then we have our button. Make sure it's popped out. And everything should line up very nicely. And then you just click it. Everything is all good to go. That is sitting very nicely. More bolts to go. So we have this for the actual, for the grill. So you just plug that in. Should be fixed on now. Then we got our 2 bolts. We can start by hand tightening. I'm a little worried about this one because we'll see if we're able to actually get it into position. Yeah, it's not seeming like it's wanting to go, which is super annoying because everything else is like in place pretty well. The other one fit very quickly and very easily, so I don't know if it's because the dimensions of my truck are a little bit off or what, but it's ever so slightly off, of course. Yeah, remember when I said don't force things? Do as I say, not as I do. Kind of having to force it just a little. It's not, it's weird. Alright, so after a lot of wrestling, I was finally able to get it seated, and it was this one that was giving me issues. But all we got to do is do 10mm bolt down, and then we'll get the grill in, and then we'll be good to go. There we go. All right, all locked and loaded. Just remember that you need to put this through the mounting portion right here, and then you need to make sure that you're getting both of your tabs over the grill itself. There we go. So we just got our last 2 10mm screws, and then we'll be off and running. All right, so there it is. I got the 2 new light bulbs, not light bulbs, headlight fixtures installed on the Tacoma. I also showed you guys how to do the splicing so that the LEDs, the accent LEDs, can display when the low beams are on. If you like these videos, give it a like right now, comment, subscribe, those sort of things. Let me know what sort of stuff you want me to do in the future, because I'm always looking to do new mods and those sort of things. I was thinking about doing a new grill, but I actually kind of like the silver accents on the black frame with the grill itself. So I'll probably keep those, but fog lights are definitely something that's on my radar. And then I'm also rebuilding the camper right now. So again, I appreciate everybody liking, commenting, subscribing. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.